No, I'm kind of like understanding a bit.
Hare Krishna.
More people are going to come, yes? That's it? Or more people will come?
More people come.
Some more people may come. Ishan Prabhu and all those
That was a different word.
Open.
Yeah. Here. You have many different languages. One of them. Krishna stories. Krishna stories? You have some? What's your favorite Krishna story? You have one? What's your favorite Krishna story? Just one story, not the whole book. Krishna's marriage to Rukmini? Subhadra. Who kidnapped Subhadra? Arjuna. Why did he kidnap Subhadra? Because? What can you remember about that story?
So what happened was that Arjuna wanted to marry Subhadra, so what happened, he disguised as a Brahman and went into
He disguised himself as
a Brahman.
a Brahmana, a mendicant Brahmana. Why did he do that? Who told him to do that?
Krishna.
Krishna. Why did Krishna tell him to do that?
Because he wanted to marry Subhadra.
Yeah, but why should he dress as a Brahmana mendicant to marry Subhadra?
That's because and plus
Balaram was the elder brother, Krishna was the younger brother, and Subhadra was the younger sister. So, in Vedic culture, the elder brother has a big say in things. And Balaram wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. Forget it. So, Balaram had a certain nature. He liked to receive mendicant brahmanas. So Krishna made a suggestion. You want to get to see my sister Subhadra? Come as a mendicant brahmana. And Balaram will invite you and you'll come regularly for the whole time that you're here in Dwarika, right? In Dwarika. So many, many times. Krishna was just checking to see what the chemistry was like. Is he going to like her? Is she going to like him? So one day, Krishna asked Subhadra, what are your thoughts about marriage? And what did she say? Duryodhana. And who are you attracted to? Well, that mendicant Brahmana. Very attracted to him, and he seems to be attracted to me. So So that's all Krishna needed to hear. That was some chemistry. And so, then what happened?
And then what happened was, one day Arjuna kidnapped Subhadra.
But what was the circumstance? Can you remember?
I don't know what's
You have to go back and read it again, because it's your favorite story after all. Krishna told Arjuna, don't come as the mendicant Brahmana, this time come as
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya, riding your chariot. And when Subhadra's out in the public square, put her on the back of your chariot and take off. Then what happened?
And then he did what Krishna said, and then he kidnapped Subhadra, and then all of them went back to
Hastinapur?
yeah.
Hastinapur? Yeah.
Then he
But
said-
then what happened?
And then he said,
Balaram said, this is an insult to the Yadu dynasty. Gather the whole army, but first we have to go check with Krishna, because we can't do anything without checking with Krishna. And what did Krishna say? I think this is very auspicious. Why is it auspicious?
that's because the law is taking his own law.
Yeah. In Kshatriya families, when a hero takes the younger sister, this is honorable. In fact, Krishna said, if there was a marriage between the Yadu dynasty, our sister, and the Pandu dynasty over there in Hastinapur, this will be great. Two royal families getting together through marriage. Instead of going after him with armies, you should go after him with gifts. Offer many, many gifts and invite him to come back and have the marriage right here. Balaram was stunned.
Shocked.
But he just likes to do what Krishna likes, so that's what they did. They brought Arjuna and Subhadra back and does a nice marriage. And shortly after that, Arjuna shows up again in Hastinapur with a new wife, Subhadra. Okay, that's your favorite story. But we're going to hear another story today. Because yesterday, were you with us yesterday evening? No. Yesterday evening, we talked about Krishna, his pastimes in Mathura, and then he established Dwarika and transferred the whole Yadu dynasty to Dwarika. But in the course of that discussion, we heard about Krishna's going to school. How old are you? 11. 7. 7. Do you know how old Krishna was before he went to his first day of school? Do you know how old he was? 12. Because he was living in Vrindavan, just taking care of calves and cows and cowherd boys, and he was having a great time. He didn't even go to school. So when he went to Mathura, Vasudeva and Devaki wanted to send him to school. So he went to school. First he did many other things happen. But the school that he went to, you know your geography in India a little bit? You know where Mathura is? You know where Delhi is? Yeah. So Delhi is, Mathura is not far from Delhi. Close. It's you know, a line, there's a train line that goes from Bombay to Delhi, and Mathura is on that line. You have to get off Mathura before you get to Delhi. And do you know where Ujjain is? You know where Maharashtra is? The state of Maharashtra? Yeah. Okay. So Ujjain is a city in the state of Maharashtra, right? Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh. So anyway, here's Mathura, here's where Krishna went to school, and over here, right by the Indian Ocean, is the place where another student went to school. His name was Sudama. And the place, it's a coastal city called Porbandar, which is about 100 kilometers, about a 2-hour car ride. You know roads in India, 2-hour car ride from Dwarika, where Krishna lived. But when they went to school, from Porbandar and Mathura, they both, because Sandipani Muni was a good teacher, very famous. So they went to school together. And then later, when Krishna left Mathura to go back to Dwarika, after 18th time Jarasandha comes with his army, Krishna ran up a mountain, jumped off the mountain with Balaram, and then he went back to Dwarika. On his way back to Dwarika, he passed by a place just right near Porbandar and spent the night. He wanted to again see his dear friend Sudama. So there's a little temple, tiny little temple, on the road between Dwarika and Porbandar, where there's shoes, padukas of Krishna and Balaram, because they spent the night there. Little temple. And then Krishna, after some time, when he went to Dwarika, he married Rukmini, first queen, and then 7 other very special queens, and then 16,100 other queens, and he built palaces for each of them, and expanded himself into 16,000 Krishnas. Can you do that? Does that mean Krishna can't do it because you can't do that? Krishna can do it. He did. Wonderful descriptions. Each day when the rooster, they didn't have alarm clocks. They had roosters. And roosters made rooster noises early in the morning. Before the sun would rise, and Krishna would get up and do his morning sadhana. So he would meditate on the absolute truth who was himself. We can't do that either. But some people imitate. And there's a term for it. Ahangropasana. They worship themselves. But Krishna did his morning many duties. And then his chariot was ready. His chariot driver's name was Dwarika. Dwarika got his chariot ready. Krishna went on the chariot. And he went to the Sudharma assembly hall. And very interesting, all those 16,108 Krishnas merged into one Krishna. And he went into the assembly hall. It wasn't 16,000 Krishnas, it was one. After some time, chronologically it's described, the Rajasuya sacrifice. Rajasuya was before Yudhishthira was crowned the king of the world, and all other kings were to be subordinate to him. Something very important had to happen, and that was the opposing king Jarasandha had to be finished. So there's a wonderful pastime, whole chapter dedicated to Krishna making a plan. It's just Krishna stories. So Krishna made a plan that said, we know that Jarasandha is very charitable to Brahmanas. So let's, the 3 of us, Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima, go dressed as Brahmanas. We'll visit the king of Magadha, Jarasandha, and ask for charity and give charity, and the charities will ask, is he engaged in battle with us? So that's what happened. And Bhima, after one whole month of fighting, they didn't fight all night, they stopped for the sunset. Krishna then indicated how to defeat him. You know how Krishna said how to defeat him? You were with us yesterday. Do you remember the meaning of Jara Sanda? The meaning of his name? Jara, who was Jara? She was a mystical,
Demon.
yeah, lived in the forest, and she found the two halves of a child, and she sunned up, she put them together. And the child came to life. So Jara gave the child to the king. So in honor of her, he named the child Jara Sanda. So Krishna took a twig, just a little piece of, and what did he do?
And then he broke it apart and then
So Bhima understood what that meant. He put it into two parts, so he took one leg and lifted the other leg and ripped his body into two. Because his body was otherwise invincible. So Jarasandha was finished. His friends didn't like it. He had some friends. There were other demons too. So then the Rajasuya Yaga was performed. And one of the persons that really disliked Krishna, who was that? Starts with an S. No,
This lady.
that was his friend, Sudama.
This lady. Rupal.
Shishupal. Shishupal. You recall the name Shishupal? Shishupal was related to Krishna. He was blood relative. There's a story described in Garga Samhita that Krishna was born just a few days before Shishupal was born. They're about the same age, but different family. So the people that went to honor the parents just after the birth of Shishupal, seeing the child and all those things people do when the child is born. They just happened to mention, oh, did you hear? Nanda and Jasoda, they also had a newborn child, and his name was Krishna. So just hearing Krishna's name, Shishupal started to scream. Not cry. There's a difference. Sometimes children cry. Sometimes children scream. He screamed. They didn't stop screaming. It went on for hours. So they went to get doctors and find out what's wrong. The doctors couldn't find out what's wrong. Kept screaming and screaming. It went all night long and into the next day, and it went on for a whole month. Because he had such disdain for Krishna, just to hear his name. That was after he was born. And his whole life was anti-Krishna. He was very Krishna conscious. He always thought of Krishna. Negatively, not devotionally, but... And he died that way too. Because in the Rajasuya Yajna, he started insulting Krishna. And everyone drew their swords, and Bhima was ready to smash him with his club, and Krishna just said, stop. The description is, Krishna understood, he's finished. But if I don't do something, they'll finish him. And then the whole sacrifice will be bloody mess all over the place. So I'll do it myself. Krishna, very expertly using his Sudarshan chakra, severed his head in such a way, didn't mess up the sacrificial arena, so the whole Rajasuya Yajna could continue. So when Shishupal was killed, he had some friends. Just as Jarasandha had the friend Shishupal, Shishupal had some friends. And one of his friends' names was, starts with an S, Shalva. Long story, short, Krishna finished Shalva. Shalva had some friends. Dantavakra. Tomorrow, no, this evening, we're going to hear about Dantavakra. More details of what I just went over, more details. But that's the chronology. So Krishna killed Jarasandha, Shalva, Dantavakra's brother. We hear. Now he's back in Dwarika. And Balaram, we're now at chapter 79 of Canto 10. Balaram's glories are described. And Shukadeva Goswami describes he was requested to take care of a demon named Balva. He did that. Then Balaram, came to know about the Kurukshetra battle. He decided, as Krishna decided, I won't fight. When Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna, Balaram went to pilgrimage. He went on pilgrimage to purify holy places. That's right. Lord Nityananda did the same thing. He traveled to those same all over the places. And one of those places that he visited is a place where Guru visited. Where's the place where Sutta Goswami spoke about Navishara? Say, the father of Sutta Goswami was named, starts with an R, Ramaharsha. So Balaram went to that pilgrimage place, Naimisharanya, and there was Ramaharshan speaking the Puranas, and as soon as Balaram entered, everybody stood up to receive the personality of Godhead, great personality, the Supreme Personality, except for one person, Ramaharshan. So what did Balaram do?
Then he took a blade of grass and then he killed, he placed it under his...
He pierced his heart.
And
Yep.
then
He died. So everyone went, oh, Ramaharshan died. So Balaram said, if you like, I can bring him back to life. No, whatever you did is transcendental either, but what to do? But you can't hear the, oh, his son knows everything. His son can speak. So Sutta Goswami then became a speaker. And Balaram continued on his travels, and he spoke transcendental knowledge because Balaram is the original spiritual master. Balaram taught Vedic wisdom to yogic Brahmanas who were attached to the rituals and not to the purpose behind the rituals. When he spoke transcendental knowledge, he came to Kurukshetra long enough to try, unsuccessfully, to persuade Duryodhana and Bhima to not fight. They didn't agree. They were determined to fight. And other glories of the personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram, are described in chapter 79. And the conclusion of chapter 79, which leads to chapter 80, the story of Sudama, says, anyone who hears these narrations, very quickly, their loving attraction for the personality of Godhead awakens, and their path back to Godhead is assured. So we're trying to assure your path back to Godhead as well as some attraction. Because there's so many other subject matters that we hear all the time, not transcendental ones. And by hearing transcendental subjects, It awakens our attraction for the Supreme Person. It just works that way. It's just the potencies are there to draw our attention to the all-attractive. So, chapter 80 is about Sudama. But the way the chapter starts is, it's as if the narration is over now, because the glories of the personality of Godhead have been spoken. Maharaj Parikshit says, go on speaking those glories of the Lord that you haven't spoken yet. Go on speaking.
Go on.
Yeah, go on speaking. Go on speaking because, then he gives the next verse, the reason. He said, my attraction, two things. My attraction for things material, it's gone. And my interest in transcendental subject matters is unsatiable. These two terms, our acharyas speak a lot about these two terms. I'll only speak a little about them. Something that goes back to Rupa Goswami's teachings about devotional service. Two things. In the preliminary, even the preliminary stage of devotional service, this is a quiz question from chapter 1 of Nectar Devotion. In the sadhana bhakti stage, two things begin, and they mature as you go on. But what begins is the causes of one's suffering are diminished. Partly the problem is we're attached to the causes of our suffering. We're not attached to the suffering. We're attached to causes of our suffering. So we go on suffering. Maharaj Parikshit is exclaiming, the causes of my suffering are practically gone. In fact, he says, I'm finding disgust with that attachment that I had for the causes of my suffering. For the Sanskrit term is asat, Krishna. There's sat and there's asat. There's eternal and there's temporary. And Krishna means thirst. So asat Krishna is thirst for the impermanent. It means the affinity for being the enjoyer of matter. Now, something that I said in class this morning is, the problem is, we're attached to enjoying stolen property. That doesn't sound nice, because you're not supposed to steal from the first place. So when to speak of enjoying the stolen property. But asat Krishna means that the energy, this whole material creation, the whole material creation belongs to whom? He's the source of it, so it belongs to him. That's what it says in Isha Upanishad. He's the Isha. He's the source, so it belongs to him. And we are permitted to take our allotted portion and utilize it in his service, and knowing that the rest belongs to him. In fact, even what we have belongs to him. So from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit is saying that thirst for the impermanent is gone. The attachment from the source of my misery is gone. In fact, Visana is the Sanskrit term. I'm feeling disgust with the fact that I've had such attachment for the sources of misery. We heard yesterday about Muchakunda's true confession, that he was in that position too. He was a very, very, very powerful king, great warrior, expanding his kingdom, appreciated by everybody, so much so King Indra asked him to come to heaven and help them do battle with the demons. A classic case of a successful king who wasn't satisfied. And he was not complaining, he's just lamenting that I was so illusioned. But seeing you, all of that's gone. And how did it happen that I had the good opportunity to see you and have attraction to see you by the mercy of a devotee? He doesn't mention his name, but our acharyas do. The astrologer that told him, one day, 27 yuga cycles from now, you're going to see Krishna. That was it. He was Krishna Bhakta from that point on. He had never seen Krishna, but his whole life was devoted. Everything he did was devoted to Krishna, progressively more and more. And when he saw Krishna finished, material existence gone. So Maharaj Parikshit is saying that, Asana, my material existence is gone. But my spiritual existence has blossomed. So those in nectar devotion is Kleshagni and Shubhada, the beginning of all transcendental auspiciousness, Shubhada, just by hearing. So please go on, reciting more, reciting more. My appetite is insatiable. Jiva Goswami's commentary says, Shukadeva Goswami was considering, Maharaj Parikshit, you're going to be finished in 2 days. This is chapter 80 of Canto 10, we're almost done. 2 days, maybe 3 days, and you just want me to go on. Your eagerness to hear is outstanding. And it's the eagerness to hear that helps us receive. Just like chanting. If we just chant numerically, that's chanting, that's good. But chanting where there's an eagerness to hear, an eagerness to be connected in our relationship with Krishna, that's a different kind of quality of chanting, different standard or stage of chanting. If we're not at that stage, we chant because we're supposed to chant. It's a duty we must do, taste or no taste. And by dutifully, or by the cultivation of that sense of goodness, leads to transcendence, purification takes place. And as that purification takes place, the stage of steadiness, taste, attachment, they follow in due course. Bhava and prema. Not an ordinary thing, but the preliminary thing must be there. With faith, that this will carry us to that position. So that was what Maharaj Parikshit was saying. So please describe those wonderful, transcendental pastimes that you haven't described yet. So, Shukadeva Goswami selects from the unspoken pastime the story of Krishna's again meeting with Sudama. We described yesterday Krishna's spending time with Sudama. We're going to hear some more because they went to the same school. And there was attraction between them immediately because Sudama's purity and Krishna's the personality of Godhead. They made fantastic friendship, a transcendental friendship, very quickly. And we'll hear some of those exchanges between them in a little bit. So after they